Hello and welcome to Technocare Industries SAP Geek. This is Anurag and today we are going to cover an interesting topic, payroll infotypes. There are many ways for capturing payroll results. One is by doing a live run in PCL2 cluster, which is the basic method of generating payroll results in SAP. Another one would be, you might be familiar about writing some custom function and getting the data into customer specific database tables, but for that we need to write customer specific function, and we need ABAP assistance for doing that. Today we are going to discuss how to capture payroll results, basically not entire payroll results, the selected wage types or selected values into payroll info types. Before we move ahead with the configuration, let me tell you what are payroll info types. When we run payroll, when we run live payroll, not the test run, so at that time what happens is there is this standard function EXPRT, right? So this standard function EXPRT is responsible for generating payroll results in PCL2 cluster. So there is another functionality present in HRMS information systems. So using that functionality with the same EXPRT function, we can also generate certain payroll info types. So what do I mean by payroll info types? The data that will be generated in payroll results can be captured into a info type, a customer specific info type, and that also whatever data we need. Let's say we need basic salary of employee to be captured in a payroll info type, that will be revised as and when payroll will be executed. So whatever value will be present in the PCL2 cluster or the results table that we access via PC underscore pay result, so the same values will also be present in the payroll info type of the employee. If we go and check transaction PA20, not only that it also means the information will be readily available in a database table PA series. So many of you must be knowing this. When we create any customer specific info type, we basically also create corresponding PA series table. So let's say I have a payroll info type 9090, so its corresponding database table will be PA9090. So this makes the retrieval of payroll results very quick or very fast. So purpose of this video is to explain you what is the configuration required for setting up your payroll info type, right? It involves 4 steps. First one is define valuation wage types. These are nothing but you can consider these as your different fields that would be present in the info type, your payroll info type. Okay, then second configuration is assign wage types to the evaluation wage types. So these fields that would be present in our info type, these can be either directly mapped to one-on-one wage types present in RT or being generated in RT, or you can also have sum of n number of wage types or sum of n number of wage types and subtraction of n number of wage types. So this is the step where we actually assign a single wage type or group of wage type, which has to be either sum together or difference of 2 wage types. So any such operation we can do. Let's say if you say I want to display basic salary less income tax, okay, so that also we can create a particular evaluation wage type field in our payroll info type, and we will assign 2 wage types to it with the different sign. If I write plus along with the basic salary and minus along with the income tax wage type, so basically we'll get the difference of 2 in the evaluation field. Okay, so this is the second step. Third step is to set up payroll info types. So this is the main step where we define in our particular payroll info type what all evaluation wage types would be present. So when I say payroll info types, we can configure n number of payroll info types. One might be for, let's say, summary of form 16, or another might be for, let's say, loans, right? All loans, company loans, the loan type specific wage types that we have generated, those wage types we can have in one payroll info type. So we need to understand that whatever evaluation wage types that we create over here, that can be used in a number of places, not only in single payroll info type but multiple payroll info types as well. So when we set up payroll info types, we actually give the number of info type that we want to create. Let's say in my previous example I said that let us assume our payroll info type code is 9090. So I'll give that 9090 code. I'll give the series of evaluation wage types or the fields that are required to be captured along with the live payroll results. And the last step is to set up assignment of to payroll. This step is basically just a switch, on off switch, whether you need to generate payroll results in info type or not. Okay, so first three steps are for actually setting up payroll info type. If at a later stage you need to deactivate this generation of payroll info type, definitely you can do it using this assignment check. Okay, so this we discussed. I mean, we will discuss the configuration in detail in the screens, the SPRO nodes as well. So this we are going to see the standard function, the log, payroll log, where exactly this payroll info types gets updated. Okay, then we will see how to check the results in payroll info type. Basically this is nothing but we can simply go to PA20 transaction and check the fields that are generated. Okay, and what would be the applications of a payroll info type? One might ask that all the information is already available in the live payroll result, right, in the PCL2 clusters. Then why do we need a separate mechanism for capturing specific payroll info types that we need? So it all boils down to the time complexity. When we write any ABAP code for fetching payroll results, okay, and when it is running for, let's say, 50,000 employees, 60,000 employees, right, to fetch results for let's say bank file generation, or to fetch results for fetching any other customer specific reports which is based on RT or the payroll results table. So it typically takes longer to fetch data from the payroll results. Okay, so just mentioning, this is not declusterization of payroll result, this is just payroll info type. So this functionality basically is available since long time in SAP, not very much used because this times of complexity only comes into picture when we deal with large number of employees. Basically if we are having, let's say, 4 lakh employees, 3 lakh employees, and we are generating bank file. So when we are generating bank file, we would it should not be a surprise that whenever we generate bank file for such large volume of employees, it might take more than, let's say, 1.5 hours to generate the bank file. But what if that, let's say, for bank file generation we need the wage type /559, right, which is nothing but your bank payment, or you can also put logic on /560, which is the net pay. Okay, so what if that net pay is directly available in one of the database table along with the period? Okay, and just by selecting the data from that table, we are able to fetch all the required details that we need for bank file generation. So basically we can reduce the time required for fetching the payroll results that we need. That is the first application of the payroll info type. Second application is for generating different reports without ABAP code. So we know whenever we need a customer specific report to be developed for which the source is inside the payroll results, we need to take help of ABAP consultant for basically designing the giving the layout, giving the logic, and all these things comes into picture. But with this payroll infotype configured, we can simply join two tables in a SAP query or a ad hoc query and just give reports from directly from payroll results to the users. So it becomes very user friendly for us to design reports based on that. So the logic for fetching reports becomes very easy, because the payroll results are directly available in the database table instead of the cluster. Okay, but one thing that we need to make sure or keep in mind while using payroll infotypes is the data is always period for the corresponding for period. So when I say for period, if in case retro is triggered and some value is revised, okay, in that case always the revised value will be present in the payroll infotype, so earlier value will not be present. Okay, so whatever reporting requires in period logic, right, so that those reports cannot be developed using payroll infotype. But there are many reports that that would be very easily developed using this payroll infotype. One is let's say I told you bank file generation, so the bank file /559 or the net pay for any period does not change in payroll past. So any such Wagetypes which does not change in payroll past definitely can be used in payroll infotype, and we can reduce the amount of time taken by the program. And the second one is the scenario where we actually need results only from the latest for period. Okay, so the latest for period means, let's say for a particular month payroll was executed in the actual run, and then in 3 consecutive months a retro was triggered, and there are let's say 4 results, okay, for the particular for period. Okay, so whatever is the latest for period result of that particular month or that particular period, only that will be available in the payroll infotype. So this is very useful for typical annual taxable or annual statutory reports, or also very useful for loan customer specific loan wage type reporting, right? So those typically do not change in the previous it does not make sense to get results from the previous 4 periods. Okay, now let us jump into the system and see the configuration step by step. In SPRO, we basically go to the personal management node. Within personal management, we have to navigate to human resources information system. In this, we have something called as payroll results. In this payroll results, these are the 4 steps that we need to configure in sequence so that our configuration is complete. Okay, so what I said previously, first of all we will define the evaluation wage types. Evaluation wage types are nothing but you can consider them as the fields, okay, the fields that will be present in your payroll infotype. Now when I say we can generate payroll infotypes, there are certain limitations to it, right? So what we can generate is whatever is available in our RT table, okay, whatever is available in the wage types, okay, in the results table, whatever is there, that we can push to our payroll infotypes. That also means that we can only capture numeric values from our result table, because what is present in our RT table, nothing but wage types and the values present in wage types. Values present in wage types also are limited to number and amount. Okay, so these are the limitations that we have before for configuring a payroll infotype. So let us see a example of payroll infotype that I have already configured, okay, in my test system. So let us see the first node, define evaluation wage types. So this is my evaluation wage types. So you can see that there are certain standard wage types that I've used, and there are certain customer specific wage types also. Okay, so customer specific wage types are nothing but the wage types that are generated in PCRs in our payroll calculation. Okay, so I might need, let's say, /130 section exemption under section 10. So what I have done over here is, okay, what I have done over here, I follow this practice of having one wage type in one field. Okay, I told you that one field can hold values of more than one wage type. It can be sum of wage type or difference of wage type or combination of both. Okay, but what I follow is I always export only one wage type to a particular field. Okay, and that also I told you that limitations, right? Only amount or number. So instead of this evaluation wage type, you can keep your own name. Let's say total of gross. Okay, so TOT, you can write something called as TOT over here. You can give your own name. Okay, and you need the amount to be accumulated, right? So you give this amount in the radio button and then you save. Okay, after we do this, okay, after we do this, these are all the fields that I require in my payroll info type to be captured. So when I execute live payroll, at that time all these wage types should get captured in my payroll info type. Okay, so that I have prepared a list. I have decided what would be the name, what would be the description of the field. Okay, now remember, in this step, these are not wage types, these are the names. For my convenience, I have kept the names same as wage types that I need to capture in those. Okay, so that is the reason why you will see that these look similar to wage types, but these are not. Okay, these are just names. You can give any name that you want for your field that should appear in your payroll info type. Okay, moving on to the second configuration node. Second one is assign wage types. So to our previously created fields, okay, so these are the previously created fields. Okay, what we do is we can actually assign the wage types that we want. Okay, so now you can see, now you will understand better that the field that I've created is exemption under section 10, and in our RT table there would be a specific wage type which captures this data, right? So because I am having only one field per wage type, I have mapped one-to-one field to the wage type. I can also do something called as, let's say, bank transfer. So bank transfer, I can have two entries, let's say cash as well as bank transfer. So cash is 557, right? So /557 and /559 will go into bank transfer, or instead of bank transfer, I can also say here monthly payout, something like that. Okay, and this was if you have to take sum of all the wage types. Let's say I am having 130 and 416 into the same evaluation wage type 130. Just assume that this is 130 for now. What will happen is the total of 130 and 416 present in RT, the total of the amount field. Okay, why amount field? Because in our previous node we have set the field to capture the amount value only, not the number. Okay, you have to remember that we cannot capture the rate field of the wage type. Okay, we can only have amount or number. So then when we assign here, the amount, the total of amount field of 130 and 416 will be present in 130 if both of them are tagged to 130. Okay, what if I want to have 130 negative 416? Okay, so what we do is we just check this box. Okay, so when I check this box, what will happen is, and assuming this is 130, the 416 value, okay, so assuming both the values are positive in RT, the 416 value, okay, gets added and 130 gets subtracted. So 416 minus 130 will be the target which will be getting saved in your 130 field. Okay, so this is how actually you can also have n number of wage types summed together, or n number of wage types plus minus combination of n of sum you can have in your evaluation wage types. Okay, so this is the logic where we define basically what wage types, the contents of which wage type should be present in our payroll info type fields. Okay, when we say evaluation wage types, just treat them as payroll info type fields. Okay, you will soon understand why I am saying this when I'll show you the payroll info type actually, so you'll understand why I call them field. Okay, let us move on to the third step. So when we do configuration in this third step, okay, so this is the main step where uh, the payroll info type is actually generated. Okay, many of you those who have some ABAP background, so you must be knowing that when we have to create a customer specific info type, we go to transaction PM01, we create a lot of structures, right? We create a lot of table entries corresponding to that. So the info type, custom info type creation has a lot of steps involved, in short. So all those steps are automatically done in this config. Okay, so how they are done, I'll just show you. So see, you can see here I have just created a new entry. My payroll info type is 9090, right? My country grouping is 40. The text for my info type is payroll results. Okay, and what I do is I just go into assign evaluation wage types. Okay, when I go to assign evaluation wage types, I just give the info type number that I want and the evaluation wage types. Evaluation wage types are nothing but the fields that we configured in the first node. Okay, so now we are no longer handling wage types, but we are handling the fields. Okay, so and once we make all the entries, once we specify in the system what all different fields should be present in my payroll info type, okay, we hit this generate payroll info type button. Okay, now when we do this hit generate payroll info type button, the magic happens. What magic happens is all the structures that are required for creating payroll info type, the database including the PA series database tables, like let's say you must be knowing if I am having info type 9090, there must be a corresponding database table PA9090, right? So that table will also get generated. The corresponding structures that would hold this data would also be generated, right? So basically all the steps that you would normally do, or the ABAP consultant would normally do for creating a customer specific info type in PM01 transaction, that would happen in background. System may ask you multiple times for saving all the different data elements that are created into your TR, and once the entire thing is done, your payroll info type is generated. So when I say payroll info type is generated, I am saying that you will have a info type 9090 present in your system. How we can verify that is, let's say I go to transaction SE16. Okay, when I go to SE16, I go to, let's say, table 9090. Okay, and surprisingly it exists. How it exists? The system has generated it for me. I have not created this table, right? And not only this, the corresponding structures are also generated. Let me see if I have any dummy data inside. Yes, so we have this data. What all data do we have? If you can see, yes, so gross salary, balance, standard deduction, all these fields. So these are nothing but the fields that we had designed, okay, so configured in our first step. And when we run live payroll, so you can see month on month, system will generate this data. Okay, so this is nothing but basically selected wage types captured in your database table for you for your specific reporting purposes. Okay, another way of seeing the payroll info type, which is more intuitive, okay, is we are using PA20 transaction. Okay, when I hit this employee number, okay, I go to my payroll info type. Okay, I go to overview. I will be able to see different records. So for each month, for each period for which payroll has executed, I will have a different entry. Okay, what all fields would be there? Let us open a sample. Yes, so this is how it will look. First of all, the fields from sequence number till payment date, these are predefined, you don't need to do this. So payroll area, country grouping, the sequence number that is present in PC pay result, right? The currency, the for period, right? If it is a off cycle result, then it will also store the off cycle indicators over here. Okay, and these are all the fields. So these are fields, these nothing but your evaluation wage types that we configured. So that is this is the reason why I constantly use those evaluation wage types as fields, because this is nothing but what different fields would be visible in the payroll info type if you go and check into PA20. Okay, so this is how your payroll info type gets generated, or how we can check the results. Okay, now what we will see is where in the particular, in which part of the schema it gets generated. So once you run live payroll for this employee, you can go to the last final processing subschema. Inside that we have something called as EXPRT function. Okay, so this function is actually responsible for committing or generating the payroll results in the PCL2 cluster. So the same function will also take care of generation of payroll info type. Okay, so if you are aware of this function, what happens is when we run a test payroll run, this will, everything will happen, but the payroll results will not be exported to PCL2 cluster. In short, the payroll results will not be available in the database. However, the simulation can be seen in the log and also the payslip if you want, right? So but in case when we run this payroll in live mode, in that scenario it will also generate all the results and save it into PCL2 cluster. The same function will also update the payroll info type. Okay, so when we see this message, payroll result is written into database, DB update successful. Okay, so when this happens, actually the results are captured in the database table. Let's say in our example PA9090 database, and the info type 9090 will have an entry, corresponding entry for this period for this employee. Okay, so this is how this is where in the payroll schema the payroll info type is generated. So it can have different parameters for different countries based on the different this thing, but all the payroll info types for all the countries are generated in this standard function itself. Okay, so we don't need to write any other customer specific function for that. Let us move on to see the last step of configuration. So I said this is the third step where we generate the payroll info type, right? So once this payroll info type is generated, okay, what we need to do is we just need to set up assignment to payroll. When I say set up assignment to payroll, we just have this active checkbox created in this. So this entry acts as a switch whether the data has to be written in payroll info type or not. Till the third configuration step, all we have done is everything we have set up, and all the things are ready so that our payroll results can be updated in our payroll info types. But without this switch, the payroll results will not be captured in the payroll info type. This is like an on and off switch. If you want to turn off generation of payroll result and you don't want to delete the payroll info type, right? You don't want to delete the old data, you want to retain the data. So this is a very convenient switch available. You just select this and delete this entry, and next time you run live payroll results, those will not be present in the payroll info type. So that was it for capturing payroll results into payroll info types. Do let me know what you think about this payroll info type in comment section, and also if you identify any other application of this payroll info types. For me it has been very useful, and I have been using this for almost all of my assignments since 5 to 6 years now.